What's up, guys? Thanks for clicking on this video. We're about to compare Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant, two of the best players in the game. It's a lot of similarities but a few differences, and I'm going to try to go over that with you guys as we watch some video highlights. But make sure you guys subscribe to this channel if you're new. I do a bunch of different sports videos on this channel here. I've started this comparing certain players. Started off with Russ and Kyrie, now we're doing KD and Kawhi. So make sure you guys subscribe and like this video, and go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know who you vote for or who you would pick if you were a GM. So let's talk about Kawhi a little bit. Obviously, the part of his game a lot of people know him for is his defense, which is incredible. One of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA, if not the best. He spent a lot of time being the best perimeter defender in the league. Like I said, just strong, quick hands, can take it from anybody, take it out of grass from anybody. It's kind of funny to watch him sometimes get some steals, or he just babying NBA players for the ball. He's an incredible player, and just watching him develop over the years has really been fun to watch. I remember there was a tweet that Kevin Durant sent out maybe around 2014, 2015, like pretty much saying that like Paul George and Kawhi is not a comparison. And it was funny because at the time I agreed with him. I thought that was, it seemed correct. But since then, ever since then, Kawhi's just stepped into that stature. I mean, once he became an all-star, he really just continued to get better and cemented himself as being that caliber player. Now, let's hear me out here. He is no MJ by any stretch of the imagination. But when people compare him to MJ, what they're talking about is his mid-range game. He has a lot of similar moves and similar spots on the floor that he attacks from. His defense as well, I think that's where they're getting it. He's not as graceful as MJ. He doesn't have quite the bounce, but his footwork, the spots he likes to attack, the type of shots he likes to go for in the mid-range, how he can palm the ball, hold it, and float and finish. That's all the stuff they're talking about. But again, he is no MJ, but I see where people are trying to bring that, comparison like a baby Jordan or something. I mean, the two guys we're talking about here today, Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard, those are probably the two best mid-range games in the entire NBA. I mean, those guys can get to their spots and knock it down over anybody. With Kawhi, it's his strength. He has good footwork, and he has great strength, and with his his huge hands, he's able to just kind of rise up over guys and shoot it with touch, and just find different ways to get his shot off in the mid-range area. I mean, it's crazy. I think, though, I mentioned it just now, but his strength is probably the biggest strength of his game. From his hand strength, and again, just his body strength. He's a lot stronger than his body would show you. He's not big like LeBron, but he's very strong. He's a very interesting case of someone that, you look at his first 4 years in the NBA, you just never would have thought he got to the point where he is right now. It's honestly incredible. Not sure if I've seen the trajectory quite like his. Even when he won his Finals MVP in San Antonio, it didn't seem like we were looking at a star. I mean, that series is really his best kind of showing as a player. But even within that, it wasn't anything where you think you'd see, an MVP caliber player, arguably the best player in the game. And that's where he's at right now. His game is such where we look at just how well his offensive game and his ability to score the ball has developed over his time. I mean, it's incredible. He's one of the guys that can really get to his spots on the floor and score at a highly efficient level. And just in terms of a player, I think this is a guy that can fit into any situation just because of how patient he plays. He doesn't really, force anything, try to force himself into the game or into the offense. So he fits right into every team in the league, which is a plus when you break him down as a player. Teammates don't struggle getting their game off because Kawhi is, playing his game. So I love Kawhi, one of the best players in the league. And again, we'll see what he's able to get accomplished, either next year with the Clippers. All right, now it's time to get into KD, one of the most talented players in NBA history. I don't think the game has ever seen a player quite like Kevin Durant, a 7-footer with his mobility and coordination. I mean, the ball handling, the shooting ability. I mean, his combination really is unmatched in NBA history. One of one. Like a lot of these other guys in the NBA we're seeing now, the athletes are just crazy. But Durant was definitely one of the first guys when he came onto the scene. Nobody has seen a 7-footer with that kind of scoring ability, and just to see how far his game has come. I mean, clearly, if not the best, one of the best players in the game, and just climbing up the ranks on the all-time list. Who knows where he'll end up ending and all that. But to me, I think that he's a top 3 scorer of all time. I got MJ, Kobe, and Kevin Durant as my 3 best scorers. Kevin Durant being right there with those guys in the mid-range game. He may not have the arsenal of post moves as Kobe. He may not have the finesse and the hanging in the air and around the basket like Jordan, but Durant's being 7 foot and just his shooting touch, able to just rise up over guys. He's got the ball handling ability to create space, to find his 3-point shot, to get to the mid-range, also attack the basket. And again, his coordination, he's able to finish around the hoop with different versions of floaters and layups. And he's not just a guy that has to dunk when he gets there. He's got some finesse around the hoop. One thing I've always respected about Kevin Durant is his defensive value. He's not a guy that locks you down like a Kawhi Leonard is going to take the ball from you, but him being 7 foot and as mobile as he is, he's able to guard pretty much everybody in the NBA. There's not really matchups unless he's just overpowered by like a Joel Embiid or a big center. There's no one that can really, overmatch him that he's guarding. With his length, he's able to contest anyone's shot. Again, with his mobility, he can stay with smaller guards or with quicker wings. That just makes him a very valuable player on that end of the floor because he's not ever going to get exposed. And I think when he got to Golden State, people really got to see some more of his defensive traits, with his shot blocking and really getting to see the value of his length. But he's always been a good defender. And let's just talk about his shooting. To me, Durant is actually one of the best shooters of all time. I'd probably put him in the bottom of my top 10. Again, just his mid-range and 3-point shot, just being able to rise over guys. He can quick fire, he can shoot it off the dribble, and he just doesn't let anything bother him. With different contests, it doesn't matter how tall the guy is, how small the guy is, how strong he's trying to get with them. He's been a lot better at that, just being able to play through contact and still knock down his shots as he's gotten older in his career. But it's just so smooth. It's easy money for him. Durant's just really a special player. Everything he does is just so unstoppable. He doesn't need, again, he has a lot of ball handle moves. He likes to get to his crossover. He has a good handle, but he doesn't need a whole bunch of moves to create his offense. You can give him the ball on the mid post, and he can do the little Dirk fade or just shoot over you, shoot right up, just face you up and shoot over you. He's done that to so many guys. Obviously, we all know about his pull-up 3 he likes in transition. He's had that in his game for a long time, but the classic one everyone talks about is the one against, LeBron in the finals. With Golden State that first, I think it was game 3, he just rose up over LeBron in transition. But that's a shot he's always been taking, even in OKC. Whether if he's bringing the ball up or if Russ would be bringing it down, Russ would find him as a trailer, and KD, knock down that 3. It always seemed like it happened in a big moment, but there's so much to say about a guy like KD. Again, one of the best to ever do it. Clearly one of the best scorers of all time, and hopefully he can get healthy and he can show us what he's got and just get back to where he left off at Golden State, and he can continue that in Brooklyn, because the game will miss a talent like KD. He kind of went through that whole media storm when he left OKC and went to the Warriors, and people were trying to take those a lot of credit from him for those titles and why'd he jump on that team, which I definitely understand that, but it'd be great if he could get healthy and kind of validate all that, because his talent is unquestioned. You can't question how talented Kevin Durant is and what he can do. Just completely unstoppable. I think that's the best way to describe him. Is just you cannot stop his offensive game in a real way. Like there's nothing you can take away, or no player you can put on the floor that's going to impact Kevin Durant being the best scorer. I think that's one thing you really have to respect. And I was thinking about Kevin Durant in this way. It was whether you look at when he played with Russell Westbrook or James Harden or Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, he's able to be a great player, average 25 to 30 points a game, while also having teammates that are able to play great around that. Now that's a very rare trait that you don't always see. So look at the Warriors, where they had Durant was doing his thing, but they also had Steph still averaging 25, Klay still averaging 20, and Draymond still being a triple-double threat. Not every great player has that value, where they can be at the top of their game and still have 2 other players averaging 20, or 2 other players still playing at the top of their game. That's hard to do. So, and you got to give Durant a lot of credit for that. Never has he come on a team and negatively impacted those around him. They've all been still able to play their games because his game is so smooth. He does not have to force his offense onto the game. You just give him the ball, and he can give it to you when you need him to. And so you gotta respect KD for that. It's one of the parts I always loved about his game. All right, now, so just being straight up, this is very difficult. These are two players that are both two-way players. They can both score the ball at a very high rate. Like I said, bring a lot to defensive game. Other players can thrive around both of them. And where one with Kawhi is a little more power, a little more strength. KD is more the shooter and it just has the touch and a little more finesse. So if I had to pick one, I would have to go with Kevin Durant. And now, again, when I do these, I don't have a way. I don't think that you're wrong for picking either one of these players in particular. I think I'm giving the edge to KD for a few reasons. Just he's been doing it a little longer, and I know that's not necessarily what this is because we're just looking at what's now, who you would take, for next year, and building around them. But again, I think that it's so close that I have to kind of factor that in a bit, and just his scoring ability, as good as a scorer as Kawhi is, Kevin Durant is just one of the best of all time, completely unstoppable. Nothing can take him off, his game as being a scorer. And then with Kawhi, he's become a great scorer, but we have yet, he had his last finals run, but we haven't seen that over a number of years to be like, are there things you can do to really slow him down offensively? If he does it for another playoff run, I'll come here and I'll be like, man, like I got to give it to Kawhi. He's just unstoppable offensively. And again, I'm nitpicking here. I'm not saying that Kawhi is not a great scorer or that he's not fantastic, but I'm having to pick between him and Kevin Durant. So I'm giving the slight edge to KD. His scoring ability is so otherworldly that's what's going to give him the nod for me. I've just seen Kevin Durant do so many just ridiculous things as a scorer. But again, obviously Kawhi is a great scorer as well, terrific defender, the claw. And I can't go wrong if you take him. So if you pick Kawhi, let me know why in the comments. I'd love to hear why. Again, I don't have any problem if you pick Kawhi. If you pick KD, let me know why you pick KD down in the comments. Again, like this video and subscribe if you're new. And if you have any suggestions on who else I should try to compare, please let me know. So thanks for watching.